Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something personal, something most people are too afraid to say out loud. How much of your life is truly yours? I'm not asking how many hours you work or what titles you hold. I'm not asking about your income, your achievements, or how good you look on paper. I'm asking about your soul, your choices, your truth. How much of your life is guided by your own voice and how much of it has been quietly shaped by the opinions of others? We live in a world where everyone has something to say. Everyone has an opinion about how you should live, who you should be, what you should look like, what you should believe. From childhood, we are handed boxes to fit in, labels to wear, expectations to meet, and somewhere along the way we begin to confuse who we are with who we're expected to be. And that, right there, is the beginning of the trap. The trap of external validation, the addiction to approval, the fear of judgment. We start walking on eggshells around other people's opinions, afraid to stand out, afraid to speak up, afraid to pursue what sets our soul on fire, just in case it doesn't sit well with someone else. But let me tell you something that could change the course of your life. The opinions of others are not your mirror. They do not reflect your worth. They do not define your purpose. They do not control your future, unless you let them. You were not born to live in the shadow of someone else's voice. You were not created to mold yourself into someone else's comfort zone. You are here to rise, to grow, to expand, to evolve, to own your truth with pride and to live your life on your terms. This message is for every person who has ever doubted themselves because of what someone else said. For every dreamer who hesitated to take that leap because they were afraid of being misunderstood. For every soul who shrunk themselves just to be accepted. Enough is enough. It's time to stop letting the opinions of others define your life. It's time to break free from the chains of judgment and step boldly into who you really are. Not the version they want, not the version they expect, but the real, raw, powerful version that's been buried under fear and doubt for far too long. Because the moment you reclaim your voice is the moment you reclaim your power. In this speech, we're going to talk about how to silence the noise, build unshakable self-worth, and start living authentically and unapologetically. Not tomorrow, not someday, but today. So buckle up. This is your wake-up call, your reminder, your breakthrough, because starting now your life belongs to you. The trap of external validation. Let's be real, too many people are walking through life carrying the heavy burden of someone else's opinion, living for approval, waiting to be validated, holding back their greatness out of fear of what others might say, afraid to take that first step, afraid to speak their truth, afraid to be different, all because they're wondering, what will they think of me? But here's the harsh truth. The moment you start letting the opinions of others define your worth, you surrender your identity. You hand over the steering wheel of your life to someone who doesn't even have to walk your path. And when you live like that, you're not truly living, you're performing, you're editing yourself to fit someone else's standards. That's not freedom. That's emotional imprisonment. Why do we fall into this trap? Because from the moment we could speak, we were conditioned to seek approval. We were rewarded for being agreeable, for being liked, for being what others wanted us to be. Be a good boy, be a polite girl, fit in, don't rock the boat. And slowly, without even realizing it, we started trading authenticity for acceptance. We learned to measure our worth by the reactions of others. But here's the reality check. You were never meant to be a copy of someone else's idea of good enough. You were born to be you, raw, real, and powerful. And no one, absolutely no one, gets to define your worth unless you give them that permission. People will always have something to say. They'll criticize, they'll gossip, they'll misunderstand you. Some will judge you just because you remind them of what they wish they had the courage to do. But that's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of them. Their words do not define you. Their doubts do not shape your destiny. Think about it. How many times have you held yourself back, not because you doubted your ability, but because you were afraid of the judgment? How many dreams have died in silence because someone said, you can do that, and you believe them? It's time to stop. You do not need everyone to believe in you. You do not need everyone to understand your vision. You just need to believe in yourself enough to keep going. Loudly, unapologetically, because your life is not a democracy. It's your journey, your rules, your voice. So stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. Stop asking for permission to be who you already are. You are not here to impress the world. You are here to impact it. And that starts by no longer letting their opinions define your identity. Break the cycle, let go of the need to be liked, and reclaim your power. Reclaiming your power through self-worth. Once you recognize how much of your life has been influenced by other people's opinions, you reach a turning point, a crossroads. And now you got a choice to make. Keep shrinking to fit their mold, or rise up and become who you were meant to be. Let me tell you something powerful. The opinions of others only carry weight if you let them. That means, deep down, the real issue isn't their judgment. It's the value you've given to their judgment. It's the belief that their voice matters more than your own. And that belief is not serving you. It's time to break free from it. You've got to understand your self-worth. You've got to own it, nurture it, and protect it. Because when you know who you are, you stop needing external validation. You stop chasing approval. You stop asking, do they like me? And you start asking, do I like me? And that question right there, that's a game changer. You see, confidence isn't about arrogance. It's about truth. It's about being grounded in who you are, even when the world tries to shake you. It's about knowing that your value doesn't decrease because someone else fails to see it. Think about the people who changed the world. Leaders, innovators, creators. They were misunderstood, criticized, mocked, but they didn't let that stop them. Why? Because they were rooted in purpose. They were fueled by internal conviction, not external opinion. You have to become your own biggest believer. You have to look in the mirror and say, I am enough, I am worthy, I am whole. Because when that belief becomes your foundation, the noise around you starts to fade. Yes, it takes courage. Yes, it takes strength. But guess what? You've got both. You were not created to blend in. You were not created to live small. And you certainly weren't created to live your life according to someone else's limitations. The only permission you need is your own. The only approval that matters is the one you give yourself. And here's something else. When you start living true to yourself, you'll naturally attract the right people, the real ones. The ones who see you, who support you, who love you for who you are, not for who you pretend to be. But that only happens when you stop pretending. When you show up as your full, authentic self, let the world talk, let them doubt, let them judge, because at the end of the day, they don't pay your bills, they don't walk your path, and they don't live your life. You do. So reclaim your power. Start living for you and stop letting the small minds of others shape your big destiny. Living authentically and unapologetically. Now that you've chosen to stop letting the opinions of others define you, it's time to fully step into your truth. This is where the real transformation begins. Not just in your mindset, but in how you show up for your life every single day. Living authentically isn't always easy. It takes courage to walk a path that others might not understand. It takes strength to silence the noise around you and listen to the quiet voice within. But let me remind you of something powerful. Authenticity is freedom, and once you taste it, you'll never want to go back to living for the crowd. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to water yourself down to make others comfortable. You don't need to dim your light so someone else can shine. The truth is, when you live for other people's opinions, you lose pieces of yourself. You become a version of you that's edited, filtered, and disconnected from your core. But when you live for you, for your values, your dreams, your standards, you begin to attract the life you were meant to live. Opportunities align, real relationships form, peace settles in. And it's not because everything outside of you has changed, it's because you've changed. You've chosen to stand in your truth without apology. Let people misunderstand you, let them question your choices, let them gossip, criticize, or distance themselves. That's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of your growth. When you stop playing small, you will intimidate those who are afraid to grow. But that's not your responsibility to fix. Your responsibility is to live in a way that feels right to you, to trust your intuition, to take risks, to speak up, to set boundaries, to follow what lights your soul on fire, even if others don't get it. The moment you stop chasing approval is the moment you start chasing purpose. So ask yourself this: are you living the life you want or the life others expect from you? Are your decisions based on your truth or their judgment? It's time to let go of the fear of rejection, because rejection doesn't mean you're wrong. It often means you're just too bold for small minds. And that's okay. The more you live as your authentic self, the more you inspire others to do the same. Remember, this is your life. You only get one. Don't waste it trying to impress people who don't even truly see you. Don't let temporary opinions shape your permanent identity. Be loud in your truth. Be proud of your uniqueness. Be fearless in your authenticity. Because when you stop letting the opinions of others define you, you give yourself permission to truly live fully, freely, and unapologetically.